It's coffee talk with ADIKA. Nothing rhymes with that but chicken tikka. We name drop here with Stephen and all his friends.
Hey Kenny, how you doing?
Hey, good.
Doing
Where
good?
are you? Where are you?
I'm here. Where are you at?
No, I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida.
Now,
I'm all
yeah.
the way in Washington.
Transplanted on like diverse
Yeah.
places. We started off on, I think, Utica Avenue, maybe, and Avenue U and Mill Basin.
Mill Basin.
Does that sound familiar?
Kings Plaza Mall. That was my hangout.
You know, we did speak a while back, and we talked about a beach club that was in Mill Basin, and I think we couldn't think of the name of it, but I think it's the El Carib. Does that ring a bell?
I think yes, it does ring a bell. It does ring a bell.
Okay.
Wait, El Carib. Wait. We talked about. Hold on, because my mind's Palm Shores.
Oh, the Palm Shore Club was on near Emmons Avenue,
That's right.
and it was a beach club. It's no longer there. It's a big high rise now. But should I tell you like my reminiscence of the Palm Shore Club? That was the first show that I was in a group called Jay and the Americans, and we started off like around maybe early 1960, and the first gig that we had was at the Palm Shore Club. This was a later incarnation of that group.
Mm-hmm.
And the original group was me, Howie, Sandy, and Jay Trainer. And we were playing there at the Palm Shore Club, and it was quite a scene. Like everybody playing mahjong and canasta and things like that. And we made a record, and it was late '61, early '62. And we left from the Palm Shore Club to play on American Bandstand in 1962 to lip sync this huge hit record called She Cried.
Wow.
And it's too bad we can't play a drop of it because, it sort of like sparks your imagination. And we took a train.
But we could
Brooklyn.
play it. We could play it. You got the guitar. You could always drop in the guitar. Whatever you want.
So we took a train down to Philly, and we went to WFIL, and it was before Dick Clark really happened. It was mostly a local show, and we went there and we lip synced the song, and it was just like who wouldn't want to be on the Dick Clark show. And I remember each guy had to pay $45. Because we had just joined AFTRA, which was the American Federation of Radio and Television Artists. And we wound up having to pay them to be on the show. Like you. Yeah. I have to pay you.
You have to pay me. I want to ask you something. Lip syncing back then. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you? Was it uncomfortable?
We had a manager, and he would tell us that we needed to go on a weekend tour. So we would go to Allentown, Eastern Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania, and the big stop was in Philly. And so you would play. This is, really early on, and none of us had a band. You didn't have a band. There were no sound systems. And I never forgot playing for disc jockeys.
Yeah.
One guy's name was Gene Kay out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And we got to this place that was, I don't know, 1,000 people there, 1,500 people. And he introduced, he says, right, here's Jay and the Americans. And we come out, and on the stage is a console that you would have in your mother's living room. And somebody would put behind there, would put the 45 on a spindle, press a button, and it would go down onto the turntable. And you would stand there and lip sync the record. And you could only hear it like maybe in the first 4 or 5 rows. Nobody else could hear it. So it was uncomfortable, but we didn't know we were in show business. We didn't really know what that was. There was no precedent for it in our neighborhood. So we were just happy. We played on American Bandstand, and then we got back to the neighborhood. I mean, who was better than you? We just were on a Dick Clark show.
Yeah. So you got back to the neighborhood. What was that like, huh? Going back, how did you feel? The high on that, huh? The best in the world.
Yeah.
Back in the neighborhood in Brooklyn. Hey, there you are. Hey, Kenny, saw you on American Bandstand. Yo, that's
right.
Kenny.
Yeah,
right?
hey. Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Brooklyn, a lot of people don't know what the old neighborhood was like. And I try to tell people what it was like. It was the best.
It was so special that unfortunately it doesn't seem to exist anymore. I think with the advent of King's Plaza, which was like one of the first malls in the United States, that all of a sudden everybody started to gravitate towards going to the mall. Being in the neighborhood, every neighborhood had a couple of candy stores. And when I was growing up, all the kids would go to the candy stores, and in the back of the candy stores there'd be a long counter, and you'd be a guy selling, BLTs, a couple of sandwiches, malteds, ice cream soda, chocolate egg cream. But in the back, they had these booths, and there was always a jukebox. And for a quarter, you could get 3 songs, and you could play In the Still of the Night. You could play Earth Angel. You could play At the Hop by Danny and the Juniors. And it was just something special. And outdoors, guys were walking around with the sleeves thing, and there'd be pack Camels in there and smoking cigarettes. And that was that was about as rebellious as we got.
Yeah.
We were listening to rock and roll. It was almost illegal. You weren't supposed to do that.
Wow.
When you think about the innocence of it, it was special. It was special.
It was special.
Yeah.
It really was. As a kid, before Jay and the Americans, what were you listening? Were you listening? Your parents, did they have a guitar? Did you mess around?
No, it wasn't until, I remember when I did see the Beatles. We did open the show for the Beatles in the United States the first time they played, but the week or so before we played with them, they were on the Ed Sullivan Show, and everyone knows about that and the clips from that show. And I remember we came out of a school where we were emulating bird groups, singing groups, the flamingos, the wrens, the crows, and then groups like the Cadillacs, and that's the Drifters. And so we were basically a singing group. We were following that tradition. So when I saw the Beatles on TV, I said, oh, they're a guitar band. They're a guitar band. It's like, you never did see that.
No.
And And I forgot the question. No, so I was, you know, I would buy 45s. I would go down, and my mother had a turntable in the basement. And I remember getting these records by the Chantels, records by Bobby Freeman, Johnny and Joe, Over the Mountain, uh, Love is Strange by Mickey and Sylvia, and groups like the Schoolboys, groups like the Students, and and I would sing the songs, sing along with it, and I started to think, what, where, where did they make? What is this? There was something going on somewhere where they were actually making a record, where they would put all of these people in a room. There was one track,
Wow.
and some genius engineer was able to mic the room, mic the drums, mic the saxophone solo, and basically, like Stieglitz, the photographer,
Yeah.
he would just go boom, and he would take that picture. And when you listen to records like One Summer Night by the Dandeliers, or you listen to uh, Love is Strange, or you listen to Gloria by the Cadillacs,
Great song.
the guy captured it. And that art doesn't seem to exist anymore.
No, it doesn't. And I want to stop you. When you mentioned Gloria, I saw a clip of you on the internet doing Gloria, and oh my God. It just made me think when I was watching it on YouTube, because I'll get lost in YouTube world. And it was not a old clip. It was you recently, maybe one of the PBS broadcasts, and you took me to another place, and I forgot how great that music was. I'm like, oh my God, this is, and the way you did it was incredible. Incredible.
Thank you. One day we would have to, the spectrum of groups that recorded in the 54, 53, 56. There's a group out of Detroit called Nolan Strong and the Diablos.
Mhm.
They did a song called The Wind. That you listen to it. I like to call these records teenage jazz, because I don't know where the term doo-wop came from, but it's sort of like a catchphrase for a whole genre. And people that aren't from the neighborhood, I think that they have a bad uh, feeling about what it is. They think it's Grease, or
Yeah.
it's Happy Days. It's not at all, because in those days there was no such thing as a rock and roll musician. So so the big record companies like Capitol and RCA and Decca, they didn't really want to have anything to do with this music. So it's created an opportunity for guys, for a couple of $100, they could make a record that could conceivably sell 1 million copies. So a lot of people got into the business, and these kids would come off of the street. Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers,
Yes.
the Cleftones, the Dubs, the the Cadillacs, the Spaniels, and so who's going to back them up? So what like in New York, if you were in New York, they would call over to Birdland, where the jazz guys came in from Kansas City, and they would be playing bebop in Birdland. And so for like maybe 20 or 35 bucks, they would hire these guys to play on those records.
Wow.
So older black jazz musicians infuse these records with a certain passion and aesthetic that when you listen to them today, you go, oh my God, this stuff is incredible. And I don't mean to, denigrate, like anybody, but like often thought, if the Beatles, because the Beatles, they're the Beatles.
Yeah.
If they would have had to back these people up, it wouldn't have been good.
It wouldn't have, but this was the Bible for the Beatles. Without that, there'd be no
Exactly.
Beatles.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Buddy Holly.
We actually opened the show for the Beatles the first time they played in America, which was in Washington, D.C. And they came on. We did our show, and then they came on, and they had these small amplifiers, like amplifiers that you'd have in a Holiday Inn, basically. So as soon as they made an appearance, the place went crazy. And basically, what they sang was the songs that they had heard. I guess somehow those records wound up in England, and they were emulating. They played "Going to Kansas City." They played Chuck Berry. They played Larry Williams, Short Fat Fanny,
Yeah.
and those were basically their set.
That's
Was
right.
that, but you couldn't hear anything because the screaming was so loud that the only thing that when they shook their heads and the beetle wig
That's right.
went, that was
That
that
was it.
was basically the scene.
The girls were crazy.
Going crazy.
Yeah, it was just a different world. I mean, when you go look at rock and roll, you had Chuck Berry. There was the beginning, which we'll go tap on that after. But so in the beginning, so doo-wop, it was singing. That was your instrument. It wasn't. You didn't have a piano, no guitar laying around the house, nothing.
No, it
No.
was
Wow.
singing. It was like, what happened was like everybody wanted to emulate these records that we heard on the Alan Freed show. Alan Freed is the guy that's given the credit for coining the term rock and roll.
Yeah.
And he ran the first ever rock and roll shows in Brooklyn, New York at the Brooklyn Paramount on DeKalb Avenue in 55 was the first one.
Yeah.
And he had Fats Domino, Buddy Holly,
Wow.
Bo Diddley, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Harptones, the Dells, the Cadillacs,
Wow.
the Chantels, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, and it was that. And you could go in there, and I think every kid in the city, everybody showed up because Alan Freed created a revolution. He wound up coming to New York from Cleveland, and he wound up on a failing 50,000 watt station.
Wow.
And he started to play this music that we as kids, we embraced it, and it became our music. And it was from those moments and the birth of that moment that has catapulted it to this day.
Wow. Alan Freed, which, yeah, he was the guy. He was the guy. Later on, people remember the Bill Grahams and all those guys, but
Of course.
before him,
before the Phil Maurice, there was Alan Freed working a show with 15 acts. Each guy did one or two songs. Buddy Holly came out and did 2 songs, and
let me ask you, you remember your first rock and roll show you went to?
Sure, it was there.
It was there.
That was the only. That was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
No shows at the churches or anything like that in Brooklyn. Nothing
No,
like that.
not yet.
Not yet. Huh?
Although, if you went to the Apollo, there was Jocko's Rocket Ship Show and Dr. Jive. Tommy Smalls. They ran shows up in Harlem starting in probably in 54. But and in those days, you know, you could go. It was totally cool to
Yeah.
go.
How about you folks? What did they say when you went? I'm going. Did they hold their own? Yeah.
Well, you know, you could travel around Flatbush and Avenue U, but as soon as you got on the subway at Flatbush and Nostrand, you didn't really, in those days, we didn't go past Grand Army Plaza.
Yeah.
But to get to the Brooklyn Paramount, you had to venture into new territory. And I remember going past the arch where the museum is and the library and on Eastern Parkway. And then it was probably the first time that I had gone into that that area. And that's where the Brooklyn Paramount was. When I got out of the subway, there were thousands of people with horses, you know, guys, policemen on
Yeah.
horseback and barricades and everything.
Wow.
And you know, it's interesting because you know these are my memories as a 13, 14, 15-year-old kid.
Great.
And many years later, when I was in my 30s, I wound up being the music director of the Alan Freed story for Paramount Pictures. It was called American Hot Wax.
Mm-hmm.
And in the group, I started the Planetones, and we had a fictional girls group. And we did hire Chuck Berry. We hired Screamin' Jay Hawkins, the guy that did I Put a Spell on You, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Frankie Ford, Sea Cruise. And I was spent, you know, a couple of weeks with Chuck Berry, and they made them period clothes, you know, from 1954. And Chuck Berry, at some point, you know, he just was. I was just sitting there with him, and he says to me, and we started to talk about. He was kind of transported into, like, really believing that he was in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Paramount in 1954. And he says to me, you know, Alan Freed was, you know, special. And he said he had Maybelline was out. I'm not sure the year, but it was early on in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
And the phone rang.
That's
And
okay.
and so he said to me, you know, I said, I saw you at the Brooklyn Paramount. And he says, you know, when I came to the Brooklyn Paramount, I had gotten a call from Alan Freed asking me if I wanted to come to Brooklyn for 10 days. And I actually had another job. You know, he was playing the Chitlin circuit, like in Missouri, in Arkansas, in Alabama, in these little places. So he was, you know, a journeyman musician. You know, he was just taking the guitar, going, sitting in with a band and playing the blues and playing, you know, whatever, even though he had a huge hit record in New York. Maybe he didn't know. So he said to me, I thought there'd be something in it. So I envisioned him taking a bus from St. Louis to Brooklyn, the Greyhound, and he gets off with the guitar case and he finds his way, he makes his way to the Brooklyn Paramount. And the Brooklyn Paramount is a whole block big. It's huge.
Yeah.
And he sees all of these people. And he goes in, and the dressing rooms were on the 10th floor. So he tells me he goes up to the dressing room and he takes his camera out. He must have had a Brownie Hawkeye. Remember those? No, it's before
Yeah.
you know, with
Yeah.
you have to wind it.
You wind those up. I
Yeah,
remember.
wind
Yeah.
it with film.
Mm-hmm. There was like the film, and
And
you'd
it
see
took,
that.
you know, maybe 12 shots, and then
Mhm.
you'd have to take the roll out and put another one. and he couldn't believe what he was seeing.
Yeah.
And he told me he was looking out of his dressing room window and taking pictures of the crowd. And when he went on stage, I really believe that not only Chuck Berry, but I really believe that a special moment in time happened. That this audience in Brooklyn of completely diverse people from all of the 5 boroughs came together, and they knew all these records from the radio, from Alan Freed.
Wow.
And
Wow.
when these people came on the stage, the audience went crazy. And these people, probably Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis, the Cadillacs, they never felt that before. And when they felt that, there was like that energy of those people and the audience combining to really create what was really the moment that the birth of rock and roll took place as we knew it.
Yeah.
And so,
That was the moment.
that was the
Chuck.
moment.
So you had
And Chuck
Manhattan,
Berry,
Brooklyn, Queens,
yeah,
Staten Island. You had them all.
the Bronx
The
and
Bronx.
Manhattan and Connecticut and New Jersey.
They all came.
Yeah,
And they
they all
saw
came.
that.
They all came.
That's incredible.
It is. It really is. And, and people, it's just, I was blessed to have lived through it. And people, your audience, they're probably my grandkids, but they should know this. That's all.
We have a
Yeah.
wide audience. And you know what? And this is a story that should never die. Rock and roll is here to stay. I mean, this is Chuck Berry. Just picture being there, hearing that riff coming out. I mean, incredible. Look at that.
Look at that audience. Yeah.
Huh?
Beautiful.
It is
Beautiful.
beautiful.
Beautiful shot.
That's
That's
a great
it.
shot.
Great shot. Look at
That's
these
not-
people. Look at the faces.
Look at that. Put that back up again one more time. That's a great shot. That's the man behind the curtain, Mr. Oz, doing that for us today. Look at him.
Look, Mr. Oz, look at the faces.
Wow.
Look at how none of us ever saw anything like we're about to see.
That's a good picture, man. Yeah, that's incredible. God, just picture being there. I mean, the closer that people are seeing this too, if they saw a movie Back to the Future, Michael J. Fox, and he goes back in time. But man, that is something. Kenny, God, wow, it's incredible, incredible. I want to ask Jay and the Americans. Okay, when
I was just thinking that if we ever get a chance to do some of this again, we should talk during the week and have we could play a snippet of the Alan Freed band, and we could play little pieces
I
of
would like
Sam
to.
the Man Taylor, Panama Francis on drums, Big Al Sears, because in those days, before the guitar, the sax was really the rock and roll instrument.
Yeah, even the sax, huh? On top of the piano, huh? There was the sax, huh? The
Oh
main,
yeah. Oh, for sure.
for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any way to demonstrate it, but Red Prysock hand clapping.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Man, I want to ask you with Jay and the Americans,
Yeah.
when you guys, how did you guys just form? How did who how'd that all
Well,
begin?
it was when you heard Alan Freed on the radio, you thought that I was in at Far Rockaway High School, and I was in the choir, and it was really the first time that I heard harmony.
Mhm.
I was in, I don't know, maybe the baritone section, and you would hear basses and sopranos and altos, and at some point, they all came together, and it was like just incredible. And one day there was a guy by the name of Harold Birch, and he was in a group called the Lark Tones, and he tells Mr. Stark, the choir director,
Mhm.
that he had made a record. Now I was like home, with these records in my house, but they were always like something from another place. They really had nothing to do with me or my reality. So Harold Burtz comes in one day, and there's a Victrola there, and there was no 45 adapter. You needed a 45 adapter to connect inside of the thing so you could put it on your spindle.
Mhm.
I'm probably talking about stuff that,
No,
anyway,
no.
okay.
I,
And so Harold Birch centers his record on it, and it comes on, and you could hear it on YouTube. It's called "The Letter" by the Lark Tones, and all of a sudden, like a bell goes off, that this guy that I knew from the choir made one of these records that seemed like it was so alien. And I thought, well, maybe, that's something I could do, because I used to sing, to all the songs. And there was a couple of people in the neighborhood that also had the same feelings, and we got together,
yeah.
and we made a record. And cousin Brucey started to play it on the countdown.
Right there's cousin you and
Cousin
cousin
Brucey.
Brucey.
Oh,
There
that's
you guys are.
amazing. And he's on Sirius Satellite, I think.
Wow.
But anyway, now, and he was a young guy. I was 15, and he started to play our record on the radio, and we wound up getting a manager in 1697 Broadway, which is the Ed Sullivan Theater building where David Letterman
Mhm.
did his shows from. And in the manager managed the Mystics, the Passions, the Mellow Kings, different
Mystics. One of my favorites, Hushabye. One of my
Oh,
favorites.
Hushabye,
Yeah.
killer. So Jay Traynor was in the Mystics. He had been took the lead singer's place, and in that office was Al Cooper, was Stan Vincent, who wound up writing "Ooh Child" by the Five Stair Steps, and Paul Simon. When Phil Crackalisi left the Mystics, his replacement on one record was Paul Simon. And then when Paul Simon left the Mystics, Jay Traynor became the lead singer.
Wow.
And we met Jay Traynor, and somebody got us an audition with Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, the two greatest record producers of the time and songwriters.
Mhm.
They wrote Yakety Yak, Charlie Brown, Searchin', Love Potion #9, all the Posters records.
Every song they wrote.
They wrote Hound Dog, Elvis
Hound Dog,
Presley,
yeah.
Going to Kansas City. And we went over there, and me, Jay Traynor, Howie, and Sandy went over there, auditioned a cappella. We sang a song that we knew called "Wisdom of a Fool," and they signed us up. And about 6 months later, we had a #1 record. Not this group, but this guy. I don't know if you could see.
Yeah, I could see them.
And Jay Traynor.
Okay.
And we wound up having She Cried, and 6 months later, because of them, because they were such geniuses that they made hits with us for a long time.
I want to ask you, there's a picture and on there with Dick Clark. Was that the original lineup? Can you pull that up for me? Let's see this one. I want to see
and that's the time we went down to play. There it is.
That's the original lineup of Janie America,
me,
correct?
Jay Traynor, Dick Clark, Howie, and Sandy.
Okay, so that's the original. Wow. Look at that, huh?
You like that suit?
I do. Put that back on. Let me see that picture again. I do. Look at the skinny tie. Like, look at that. Yeah. It's killer.
Yeah.
And that was the first time you were on a bandstand right here in this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great shot. Look at Dick Clark, huh?
Yeah.
Did you know Dick Clark pretty well? Was he?
We wound up. No, I didn't really know him. He was like a man, even though he might have been, 8 or 9 years older than us. In those days, there was a separation between, teenagers and people who are adults. Now that distinction doesn't seem to
It
exist
doesn't. It doesn't.
anymore.
No. It.
But in those days, you kind of knew your place. And
Yeah.
if somebody, Dick Clark was, the head of American Bandstand. I was just one of the Americans.
Yeah. Just one of the Americans.
Yeah.
Great songs. Great vocals.
Yeah.
Tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, this magic moment.
Yeah.
I mean, wonderful. So you're here with Jane the Americans. Was that about 2 years? How many years were you in the band for doing that?
No, I was with it from the beginning to basically the last incarnation of Jane and the Americans lasted 12 years.
Okay.
And the last 2 years, Donald Fagen and Walter Becker were our backup band.
Wow.
And they actually recorded some of the stuff with us.
Wow.
And then, that was around 1971. And then I believe then they went out to California and made the Can't Buy a Thrill album, where they, did the Do It Again and Reeling in the Years and became Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Did you when they were your backup band, did you hear them writing songs? You go, these guys got something. They're gonna do something.
Oh no, I made albums with them called Becker and Fagen in the early years. I was actually the lead singer because Donald didn't want to sing.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I have a whole bunch of material, stuff that I was the lead singer on.
Wow, that's incredible. Great. I mean, Kenny, these stories are just amazing. This is why I like talking to you. It's like a date that you and I have, and just you unfolding history here. It's incredible.
Well, I have because I feel that I feel that you do understand it and have an appreciation for it. So I'm happy to you sort of egg me on.
Oh, I could be here all day with you. You don't even understand. And for everybody that's going to be watching this and that is watching this, this man that I have here was such an important part of my life growing up. Because I'm moving all over the place, and I'm sorry if I'm doing that, because it was in Canarsie, Brooklyn, by South Shore High School, and I was living at the time after my parents got divorced. My outlet was music. There was no iPhones. There was no computers. And we had a piano. Nobody would teach me. I would sit and pick at it. But there was Meet the Beatles. It was always in my hand. And then I remember I had a Let the Good Times Roll. It was from the movie, which was a compilation, and it was Bo Diddley, but Chubby Checker, Danny and the Juniors, the Shirelles. And I remember I would take the couch and sit there and lip sync these songs. Thought I was on a stage. And then I found Vance 32, and I go, wait a second. And then your hair was longer, and in the album, if you could find that for me, Mr. Oz, Vance 32 album cover where there's a collage.
I have it. You want me to get it out?
Yeah, if you could pull it up. Yeah, if you could if you could pull out that, and I could probably pull up really quick for you if you don't want to get up. But that meant a lot to me, that record. Let me see if I could pull up to get a good picture of it for you guys out here. Let's see here, Vance 32. What a great record! I'm just right here, right up.
I got it.
You got it right there. That's the album. I'm gonna make the screen big. Really look at that. I would stare at this album cover and I go, look at this guy. Awesome. Rock star. And then when you opened it right behind that, I would stare at, because it had you had a card of a lawyer, there's a law firm.
That's right.
And I would stare at it. I go, what does this all mean? Here,
look at the fish I caught. Can you see that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I used to stare at that. I go, look, was he? And I would ask myself, was he fishing on Sheepshead Bay? Did he go out? I was always wondering this.
Yeah. It's Jamaica Bay, actually.
Jamaica Bay, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Which was that?
And then-
Was that the Canarsie Pier? The Jamaica? Was that?
No.
No.
On the
Other side.
on the Queen side.
Okay. Okay.
And here, I'm just looking at some of the people on this album.
No, the picture with
It's
the picture of the
incredible.
beard. Look.
The people who played. Do you mind?
Yeah. Go.
Elliot Randall, who was the guitar player on Reelin' in the Years.
Wow.
Steve Gadd, Richard T., Ralph McDonald, Earl Williams, who was the drummer at the Brooklyn Paramount, at the Brooklyn Fox, and you know who Betty Carter is? She sang with Ray Charles.
Okay. Yes.
Betty Carter, and yeah, unbelievable. Yeah.
What a great album, man. For any vinyl lovers out there, that's a must. That's a must. It is. It's a must. And I would listen to this. It was a must. Great. And
How long do you want to do this for?
you know what? We'll get out of here. You know, we're here 40 minutes here. We could end it in 45 minutes.
Okay.
You know, take out the good pieces, and then we can always come back another time. And
Yeah,
you want to do
hear a
some
song?
Yeah. Are you kidding me? I love to hear a song.
Put my Professor Laplano with. You're my love. You're my angel. You're the girl of my dreams. I'd like to thank you for waiting patiently. Daddy's home. Daddy's home to stay. How I've waited for this moment to be by your side. Your best friend wrote and told me you had teardrops in your eyes. Daddy's home. Daddy's home to stay. It wasn't on a Sunday. It wasn't on a Tuesday afternoon. I made a promise that you treasure. I made it back home to you. How I've waited for this moment to be by your side. Your best friend wrote and told me you had teardrops in your eyes. Daddy's home. Daddy's home to stay. I'm not 1,000 miles away.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. Kenny, that is bravo. It's beautiful.
Thank you, man.
You're
So
beautiful.
I'll see you soon.
I guess so, huh?
Whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
like this. Can't get better than this, Kenny. Look at you, man.
beautiful.
Kenny, you have a record out too as well. Kenny Vance, For Your Love.
Yeah.
Tones,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
We can find that. I'll put all the links in here. I'll let
Well,
you go.
best of luck, man. This is a great show. You got something. You got it, whatever that is.
I don't know what it is. It's the Brooklyn in us. And you know what? You always have it, man.
Wow.
Always. It's an honor. Let me get the intro and roll us out of here, buddy. Alrighty?
Okay.
Kenny, it's been a pleasure.
Beautiful.
Thank you for spending time with me, my friend.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Chalk and wax.